What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another review. It is Loki episode 4 and oh my god, this was the episode that I wanted. This was perfection. I mean, the action still had a few problems, but overall I loved it. This is something that this series actually needed. Something that, just went and didn't stop. And it doesn't mean that it has a lot of action, but the pacing was just right. Whether there's people chatting, whether there's something happening, whether it's just some downtime, just people sitting around, there was always something going on. There was revelations, the ending, the whole thing. It was great. It was just great. So before we get into it, spoilers, okay? Just remember, these episodes, reviews, contain spoilers. Alright, so I'll start towards the end of the episode actually, because that was like something, at least I was like, okay, there is something definitely going on, was the timekeepers are not real. So they end up, Sylvie ends up actually like smashing one's head off, and yeah, they're just machines. And Loki's like, so who is actually controlling the TVA? What is actually going on? And that's where like the episode ends. And that was an ending. That was an ending. And they also show that when they prune the character and you think, oh, they are dead, they actually go to another place. So towards the end of the episode, Loki gets pruned. And you're like, whoa, what? What? It's his series. What happened? And then you realize, oh, he's in another dimension with other Lokis there, other variants. And you're like, what? And the last two episodes, they're probably going to deal with all that. I also loved, and it's weird in a way because it's two Lokis getting to know each other and getting in love with each other. So at the start of the episode, the variant Loki, Sylvie, and our Loki actually make a connection, and it's more a romantic connection, and it just opens these possibilities of like how they're going to actually really go with this story, because technically they're the same person and they're in love with each other. Obviously they're from different timelines, but still you also learn that Sylvie actually was, they were grabbed by the TVA when she was really young and she was able to escape, and she's been kind of on her own since then, and she grew up on like the end of the galaxy to kind of like stay off the radar of TVA, and that's how she kind of grew up. And then she kind of planned all of this since a very long time to really get back at the TVA. And they also were amazed on how big their connection was, because when they were making the connection, so if you watch the last episode, then you know the planet is about to get destroyed and they had no way out. So the way TVA actually found them was that their branch, a new branch of timeline, was about to be created, and it was so fast in its speed and how it was actually getting created because their two Lokis were having a connection. That's something that they never ever seen before, and their romance was like that big. So I'm waiting to see where that goes. I also loved the fact that how some of the soldiers of TVA are start to realize, that this is all in a way a lie, and how Mobius actually came to realize that this is actually a lie. And those connections between Loki and the Mobius and the dialogue there was actually heartwarming. You were seeing a different side of Loki, as Loki that we know. This Loki, remember, this is the Loki that escaped with the Tesseract, right? And he's, without, I think, him realizing, he's actually becoming the Loki that we know that eventually becomes and actually sacrifices himself, at the hand of Thanos, at the Infinity War. So I'm liking that at the end of the day, it's that Loki, whether no matter how much he despises being that person, he actually ends up being that person. And it was great to see that transition happening, that he's finally found those feelings and the love. In the other case, it was like, he found the feelings towards his brother and the whole family, and that made him a better person. Here it's a bit different because he's actually now attached to another Weird Loki, and he's gaining all these feelings and all, and it was great. And the dialogue between Mobius and him trying to like tell Mobius that this is all a lie, and then Mobius eventually realizing on his own that they actually had lives. People who worked there had lives before the TVA. It was actually amazing to see. So this was great. There was an action scene at the end, and this was technically the best action sequence that they put in this show and it was, you can see things, there were like still cuts here and there, and it was a bit too choreographed. You can tell they're just moving their arms and legs because they need to do that action, rather it didn't feel natural. But it was still a lot better done than the other episodes. The one other thing I hated about it though is that it had that same problem that a lot of the action movies do, is that when the main character is fighting, the other characters are just waiting for the main character to turn around so they can go in and get punched in the face or something. So that sequence I didn't like, especially when the judge is watching Loki and Sylvie fight in front of the timekeepers, and the judge is just standing there. I mean, like, hey, if you really want them dead, and if you really don't want them to do anything sinister, or is that something level messed up what your plan is, why don't you jump in and kick their ass? When they don't know, when they're busy with these other things? So I hate the fact that, just because you want to have a fight scene, the other character just waiting there and like, okay, let them fight. I'm going to get in and then get my ass busted later. So I hated that. And like, they could have planned that bit better. So at the end, as I said, without Loki knowing, the judge pruned Loki, and basically Sylvie gets really mad, and she asked the judge, like, hey, what is actually going on? You have to tell me. And that's where the episode ends. And we also see a mid-credit scene where we see that Loki actually, after getting pruned, they actually don't die. They're somewhere else and in a different dimension, and that's where all these variant Lokis are. So same thing happens to Mobius. When they caught up to Mobius and they realize, oh, he actually knows everything, they prune him. So at that point we think that he's dead, but now obviously at the end, as I said, with the Loki, all these characters that get pruned, they're probably somewhere. So it'll be good to see what actually happens and where these characters go and what timeline or what dimension they go in. So it doesn't really affect the timeline. So it'll be intriguing to see that and see how they finish off in the last two episodes. So overall, this was an amazing episode from the start to the end. The best thing about it, that no matter what was going on, the dialogue and the pacing was just right. Whether it's somebody just talking, whether it's an action scene, it never felt like it was slowing down, and it just had that moment after moment and reveals that kept the episode afloat and never a dull moment in there. So I give this one a 10 out of 10. This is what I needed. So this was great, and I can't wait for the rest of the two episodes and see where this all goes. What did you all think about that? Please leave a comment below. Let me know. And other than that, I want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support. If you like this review, there are a whole lot others on the channel. Please go have a watch. And yeah, take it easy. Take care. And I will catch you all soon. Until then, ta-ta. Ake out.